Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, everybody. This is the Slider Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2, episode Where There's Fire, There Flames, or is it Where There's Flames, There Fire? In the words of Alpha 5, I can't remember the title of the episode. Anyways, I know what you're probably asking yourself. Well, if this is Hispanic heritage, month theme, then why is Aisha the center of this episode? Well, that's because a lot of people don't know, because even though she looks black and she's half black, she's actually Afro-Latino and everything. She played a black character on the show, but the actress is actually half Mexican and half black. Something I never knew until earlier this year. So I feel like, you know what? Since I already did Black History Month with Aisha, I might as well do Hispanic History Month and stuff. Even though it's no longer Hispanic History Month, I just ran out of time and stuff. And so, but you know how I am. I'm always still making videos past the due date and stuff like that. And so, yeah, this is an Aisha Center episode. Not one of my particular favorite episodes, only because sometimes it gets a bit confusing in terms of the narrative of the plot. And plus, it's a season 2 episode, so season 2 has its own problems and stuff. But it's hard to find a really good Aisha episode, and actual solo episode at that. The probably best one was the one I already reviewed for Black History Month, about her not getting to that one organization sorority type thing, and how her grandma Lockett saved her from being turned mean and stuff like that because of the love of her grandmother. That was probably in the 3rd season, and that was one of probably the better solo Aisha episodes. But other than that, it's really hard back in those days to find good solo episodes for people. Normally, if they're a solo episode, it's like a woe is me type episode where you see a lot of their flaws and everything. And this episode does show the flaws of that of Aisha. And I'm still surprised she's Afro-Latino. I never knew that. 30 something years, I never knew that until now. She finally revealed it online earlier this year when she was talking to somebody. I forget who she was talking to. But now when I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, her complexion is very light skinned, honeydew type, and stuff. And, I do wonder, because everybody always has that misconception, because she looks when you look at her at first glance, she just looks black and everything, But that's so cool that she's a mixture of both, kind of like Gina Torres, who's half black and half Cuban and stuff. And, I really wish on the show they would have split her race up instead of just making her black. But that was the 90s, and you know how the 90s is, and you know how cheap Saban is and lazy and stuff like that. So, So anyways, this has to do with fire safety. And I do like the point that they taught the lesson of fire safety. However, like I said, it's not one of my favorite episodes because it can get a bit confusing, because it deals with the whole fire safety thing, and it deals with Aisha feel like she's the only person who can deal with it, and she's kind of going overboard with the fire safety rules. But when you watch the actual episode, she's not really going overboard. That's the thing. She's doing what any other fire safety person is doing. It's just getting on the nerves of everybody else. But however, when she wants Ernie to do one specific thing, then she goes overboard. So I think in the writing, they could have made it look like she's really going overboard to the excessive point. Now, what also gets confusing is that after she goes do the whole fire safety thing, and there's a fire breathing monster, for whatever reason, she feels like she's the only person who can stop it. And so then it becomes this kind of weird thing where it's only her doing stuff and nobody else. And it really upsets the team. And I just felt like, even though this is a good episode, it could have been written more clearer and better. Similar to the There's No I in Team in that one Ninja Storm episode, where we clearly see Shane feels like he's the only person who can do anything and boss people around. But that was like, many years later, and they was able to write like a better story and stuff. And so, like, but when it comes to season two, I've already said, like, season two, I like season two. I just don't love it like season one and season three, even though season three got very comedic because of, Lord Zed scaring the crap out of kids in season two. But, the reason why season two is so confusing is because of the whole transition from like the older Rangers to the new Rangers and us not really knowing why as like kids growing up. And so like it was always confusing because, first you had like the original three, red, black, and yellow Ranger, but then all of a sudden you never saw their face and you only saw them morph with their helmets on. They was always missing, and then their voices had changed. It's like, what the world's going on? And then all of a sudden we get hit with this big bomb of, oh, they're leaving. And I was like, what? Then Zach hair kept changing throughout like the archives, like footage that they kept showing. So it was so confusing. And then we had like these three new people, and it's like, oh, okay, these people who kept hanging around the show, they're like the new Power Rangers. Okay, cool, whatever. But then you had to get used to them and stuff. And so that was always like a weird transition. Also, what was the weird transition was the fact they never changed up the suits to go along with the Zords and the Monster Sentai footage. One thing that's very frustrating in this episode is that you never see the Rangers actually fight the monster in hand-to-hand combat. Back in the day when I was a kid, I never really noticed it, but now I'm starting to notice that a lot of monsters in season 2 just stand in one position, fire their weapons, the Rangers get hit like on a different split screen, and then you never see them fight the monster. And it's because they never changed up the suits and they kept the dino suits and everything. And so this is, like I said before, it was always just that weird transition and stuff. And that's one reason why I just don't particularly love season 2, is because of the inconsistency and oddness of it all. If only Saban would have just changed the freaking suits. And because, they didn't have the monster costume to go along with this episode from Japan, because either they just couldn't get to him in time, or the suit was damaged beyond repair. Which is what happened to a lot of the suits in the Mighty Morphin days. But anyways, this has to do with Aisha, and she is, newly a Power Ranger. And she's like wearing that classic outfit she always wears during this time, that black overall skirt and a dress, and then the yellow shirt underneath it. And she has her hair in the ponytail. This is pre Aisha braid years and stuff, when she was doing the ponytails and stuff. I miss her ponytails, man. It was always these cute little ponytails and stuff. But anyway, so Miss Applebee's in this episode, and she started to leave after, I think, Mighty Morphin. I don't think she was ever in Zeo, I don't think. And so, it was good seeing her again. And so this has to do with fire safety. And there's a firefighter teaching them the ropes of fire. And Aisha's kind of like his junior deputy type person. And so she starts plugging so many plugs in the outlet to show you what not to do. Because you're not supposed to plug multiple plugs in an outlet and have all these little adapters and stuff like that. I understand that. I've always been taught that since I was a kid. Those good old days of when commercials, they would teach kids, hey, don't play with fire, don't do this and don't do that and all this other stuff. And they don't do that no more, man. It's this is probably why kids are so messed up today. And stuff. But it's so hard because the house, you have so many plugs, but you need certain plugs to go on certain, you have certain outlets, but you need certain plugs to go on certain outlets in that one room. And it sucks. Some people get a surge protector, which is supposed to help. I don't know if it does or not, but if only electricity wasn't so dangerous, you know what I'm saying? So of course in comes Bulk and Skull, and they're being idiots like always, and talking about we know all about fire safety. So they start plugging as many plugs as they can in a little outlet thing, and then boom, sparks are flying, fire starting to happen. Now this is what confusing. Aisha took her hands and pulled the plugs apart from like the I think maybe like the surge protector or something, and then she took the fire extinguisher and took out the fire. Call me crazy, but you're not supposed to touch the plugs when there's like electricity and stuff you can see and sparking and everything like that. And so that's very dangerous. You're supposed to have like rubber gloves on, which she did not have. And yeah, you're not supposed to like touch those things because you can get like electrocuted. So I don't know why they goofed with that, but they did do the right thing and show that she took the fire out with the fire extinguisher, because you're never supposed to use water doing electrical stuff, because it would just make things worse. And also when you have like an actual fire in the house, say like on a skillet, you're supposed to smother it with either like, the top, or like pour some type of like baking soda in there or something like that, or like flour or whatever to smother it. Never use water because it would just go crazy with tons of smoke. And so, but one thing that was really cool about the whole classroom scene is like the banter between like Aisha and Kimberly, like talking about like hair products and what to do and when to blow dry your hair and when to use gel and stuff like that. I remember back in those days, Aisha, her accent, she has kind of like this Valley girl accent. Um, it's kind of like Valley Girl and something else. I can It is like this cute, perky little like accent she had. Back in those days, man, I swear, like it was just good watching those like episodes and stuff back then. But anyway, so we get to like Aisha in the youth center, and the actor who plays Ernie, rest in peace. That dude died years ago, and it's so weird watching this episode. Now there's four dead people in the episode. Oh, four or three. Let me count. You have Ernie. You have the voice of Lord Zed. You have the voice of Zordon. And then the fourth now makes Tommy. Man, this is just like, I still can't believe he like did what he did and stuff to take his own life. May they all rest in peace. And so like, she's at the youth center, and she's going over Ernie with the whole fire safety stuff and making sure everything's up to code like the actual fire person's supposed to do. And then she's all like, oh, are those exit signs properly placed? And then she goes over there to check. And so like this is starting to get on the nerves of Billy and Kimberly, and Kimberly's still wearing her fighter's hat. But they shouldn't get on their nerves, because this is what a fire person is supposed to do. The exits are supposed to be properly lit and properly placed. That is just the rules and everything. So I think the writing let like the character down and stuff, and it made her seem annoying when she's actually not. And so like while this is going on, Lord Zed, he has instructed the putties to attack the three guys who are like jogging in the park, who are Tommy, Rocky, and Adam. And so we get a great like civilian out of suit fight scene, which I miss so much in Power Rangers. And what's so great about these three dudes doing it is they actually know martial arts, unlike the rest of the cast. So like it's always great seeing them do their thing, the flips, the choreography, because they had to like come up with it themselves, and they came up with some great stuff. They come up with better choreography, the actors did, than the actual stunt people did when they were in suits and stuff. And I don't care what that dude from Power Rangers Dino Fury says, who runs the whole thing. Like I forget exactly what he said, but like civilian fight scenes are very important in Power Rangers. They're like the bread and butter and everything, and it doesn't take away from the story. But anyways, so they do what they do, and they fight like the monsters and stuff. I think Tommy probably goes back to like the youth center to tell the others. So I remember, yeah, so he goes back to tell the others. We could just tell them to communicate, but whatever. And so Bulk and Skull, they're still trying to find out the Power Rangers' identities. When they meet Lord Zed's, Flamehead monster. It was a female, dressed very Japanese Sentai looking, on a horse, and she's just shooting flames left and right and setting stuff on fire. So the boys, they run towards the beach and jump in the water, and they're all scared now. And I really truly feel like if they would have left out the Bulk and Skull humor, because they already had the humor in the beginning of the episode and they want to put it in also somewhere in the middle, they would have took that out. It would have had more time for Aisha to really show her like annoyance and everything. So then at the youth center, she has Ernie open up his juice bar to make sure all the wires are properly how they're supposed to be. And this gets on his nerves now. So this is the importance of it. Now she's being too much of a control freak and everything. So this is what they should have shown throughout the entire episode. Anyways, they have to take out the monster, they morph and everything. The three guys do, because now Tommy is now back with like the guys and everything after telling the others. And so that was a weird transition. And so he's now back with the other two and they morph. And now they're fighting the monster. They're doing an okay job, but they need the help of like the others. And so now they finally contact the others on the communicator. They head out there and they fight. No, wait. They head to the command center. I'm not even sure if Alpha's in this episode or not. But the other three, Aisha, Kimberly, and Billy, they head to the command center. And Aisha's all like, Zordon, this is my responsibility because I'm like the junior fire person and stuff. And this is all my fault. I should have done something. There's nothing she could have done. She can't help that Lord Zed sent the monster. You know what I'm saying? So, but she wants to do it alone. But, Billy and Kimberly's like, no, we need to go as a team and everything. But then Zordon, he tells Aisha to go alone, and Billy and Kimberly will help try to defeat the monster through some type of scientific way. Kimberly don't know nothing about science. So Aisha goes down there morphed. We get a nice Aisha morph call and everything. And so she's down there, and there's Putty's down there as well. We don't see the monster because, of course, the Sentai footage. And so, but in the Sentai footage, there is hand-to-hand combat. So they're just fighting Putties. But Aisha felt like, there's only her that can stop this. So she's fighting all the Putties by herself. And so the other guys are all like, yo, we need to do this as a team. So then, here comes the flame monster, but Zordon sends them back to the command center. She's mad and wants to know, why did he pull her from the fight and stuff? And he tells her straight up, the only reason why he sent her there alone was to teach her a lesson that is not her responsibility to stop all the world's fires, and she could never have known that Zed would send down a fire monster. And then they tell her, the team tells her, there's no I in team. And so she gets the lesson. Now, these life lessons that they have to learn, I wish they could have, did a better job of explaining more and stuff like that. That's why I want the humor taken out, so they could have done more with that. So in a way, Kimberly does the roll call for the morph sequence because it's just her and Billy unmorphed. The others, I love it when they have their helmets off. So they go down there, they fight, but they can't touch the monster because of the Sentai footage. So what they do, Flamehead sends out her flames, and somehow Aisha's all like, if we hold hands and combine power, we'll put up an energy barrier that will deflect her flames. How does Aisha know this? World if I know. It just came out of nowhere. Cause Aisha isn't the genius of the group. That's Billy and stuff. And she's more like a Kimberly clone with the whole fashion thing and the Valley Girlness and stuff. And so but it works somehow. And they shoot back the flames, and that was neat, but who knew they could do that? So like clockwork, Lord Zed makes the monster go big. And so even though Tommy's the leader, Rocky calls on the Zords, which is kind of cool because he's also Mexican. So haha, props to him. And I already did his video, go watch that. And so the Thunder Zords coming. I love the designs of the Thunder Zords and the Thunder Megazord. It's a great design. So they finally get to touch the monster now because it's now Sentai footage. And so they whoop on the monster. Ironically, Tommy called on his Tiger Zord, but Tommy is nowhere in the battle, neither is the Tiger Zord. So they defeat the monster with ease and everything. And it was a really good episode, and it's nice that Aisha did learn a lesson that one person can't save the whole world. You need like people to help out, and that's always a great message to like teach people, because some people always try to go at things alone, but you can't always go at life alone because the world is just too big and complicated. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.